We are on the afternoon break of the last day of questioning of the undercover police officer Mark Jenner, who posed as the activist Mark Cassidy when he infiltrated Colin Road Centre, Anti-Fascist Action, Red Action, the Independent Working Class Association, numerous campaigns for police accountability and for justice. Between the years of 1995 and 2000. He also deceived a woman called Alison into a 5-year relationship, living with her for many of them, whilst lying to his wife S about the whole experience. I'm joined by Kate Wilson. We've just had further questions, the end of Barr's questioning of Jenner. What have you made of what he's had to say?
Jenner, wow. I mean, I'm coming in. I wasn't here Monday and Tuesday, so I was following it online, and I mean, he's incredible. I feel like he has kind of blown the whistle more on the inner workings of Special Branch and the SDS than Pete Francis, the genuine whistleblower, because Pete Francis is obviously very conflicted between different moral positions and loyalty to the police, and whereas this guy is just so arrogant and absolutely embedded in that culture that he just demonstrates it in so many of his answers that it's quite repellent to listen to, but I have to keep reminding myself it's really great in terms of evidence, because it is basically evidencing everything that we've been saying, and listening to him talk about the relationship both with Alison and with his wife, it's really horrible, and sending love to both of them, but at the same time it's really powerful for that to be just put out there. Yeah, I mean, people have been saying that this is, I'm kind of giving you my impressions over 3 days. People have kind of been saying that either he's had an attack of conscience, or conscience is the word I'm looking for, or he saw videos of himself last night and realised what an absolute dick he was coming across as, or somebody's tapped him on the shoulder and said, mate, you've really got to try and stop being such an asshole. So today there've been a few kind of botched expressions of humanity, which we didn't see at all over the previous days. He was absolutely unrepentant.
No, we certainly didn't. I mean, his botched attempts at humanity today have been largely sandwiched between his own expression of his own callousness. He's had to be pushed a few times, really, to see what really he should be saying, almost. He's also been very willing to throw a number of his former colleagues under a bus.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this, and I think we will see a lot more of this with Jim Boyling when he had his misconduct hearing. That these are officers, and we've seen the documents now that show that the managers absolutely knew. There's a particular one we saw this afternoon that referred to touchy subject and psycho dream. Having, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was basically
that they had constructed a lifestyle as to make any approach on this matter, the matter being needing a fake girlfriend or boyfriend, to be impeachable.
Unimpeachable, yeah. They had unimpeachable credentials in terms of having a fake girlfriend, because they had real girlfriends. So it's quite clear that this was, by that point, a tactic that was known about and condoned by the managers. And Boyling's take on it when he was taken to a misconduct hearing was very much, this is, why am I being singled out for this? This is what we were supposed to do. This is what everyone was doing. This is what we were essentially commended for doing. Bob Lambert did it. And I think Jenner has taken a similar line, like, why on earth am I even being criticised for this? I was an SDS officer, and that's what he actually said to Hearn. We saw his one of his interviews from back when the Spy Cop scandal first broke, and he said, I was an SDS officer, I was doing my job. That's what the job was. And I think we saw this as well with the Crown Prosecution Service refusing to prosecute these officers for rape, because they said, you know, we wouldn't be able to get a conviction because they will defend themselves by saying they were just doing their jobs. And this is the thing that the Met Police have been seeking to deny all along. And I think we have the smoking gun. Like, today has really been the smoking gun. There is no question anymore. You know, we saw with James Thompson that by 2001, 2002, they clearly knew that he had had inappropriate relationships, but this is different. This is, at the time, while the relationships were going on, absolutely evident that this was not only not investigated or disciplined, but actually was viewed positively by the management.
And we saw that very clearly in that one strategy document that talks about his change of living arrangements through essentially through code, was basically saying that living with activists, by which they meant cohabiting with a female activist and having a sexual relationship with her, was a much more effective way of running a deployment, and it should be considered in the future.
Yes, and the taboos around discussing this should be got rid of. And that's something I think that needs to be borne in mind. It's something we saw in the IPT as well, where the Metropolitan Police were producing documentary evidence from the time and saying this is how it all worked. This is what the intelligence flow was. They were specifically saying, you know, who the undercover officer was would be kept a secret. So intelligence about who Mark Stone was sleeping with would not have got to other police officers. And then we find this email in the material, which basically says, I've seen the intelligence flow diagram, and I wonder why we're being so dishonest about the way we function, because in fact the secret side of the house and the public order policing side of the house do have contact, including direct briefings from us to them, and this is why it all works so well. And if we're, and so what you see is that actually the on paper information about how they're working is not necessarily how they're working, and you catch these glimpses. And I think that I was reminded of that email when I saw the Bob Lambert saying, we need to, it would be a lot easier for us to function if we were able to talk openly about these living arrangements, meaning having a girlfriend and living with your girlfriend. I think it's also probably important to talk about the cross-examination that has happened at the end.
I was about to raise it. I think I don't remember this happening before. We have had cross-examination by people's own lawyers, but there'd be cross-examination by a non-state, non-police, policeman's wife, I guess, a co-participant. S's lawyer cross-examined Mark Jenner. There was a whole bunch of stuff that went through in that section. A lot of it looking. She claims that they did have a family holiday in '97, not in '95 as he claims. Highlighted really the way in which the finances. Basically, he was using the joint account to pay for his lifestyle with Alison and the holidays. He squirmed quite a lot during that section.
He did, yes. And I think that you cannot underestimate the significance of the evidence that S gave, and the fact that she is the only woman in that position who is giving evidence to this inquiry. So it is. I think it's very good that her barrister was able to cross-examine Jenner. I think it's a shame that the inquiry is not hearing from all of the other many wives and perhaps also children about the impacts that this had on them. And I think that the evidence that we were hearing, that we heard from S, but then we also heard put to Jenner, and he was, he uses the term with hindsight a lot, but basically, so that, I don't know if it came up in the other video, but Barr at the end of one of the last sessions basically put it to him that he was a cunning, evil bastard.
Yeah, that did come up. Strangely enough. Yeah.
And yes, like that was the case in his undercover role, but it was also clearly the case in his private life.
Yeah.
And yes,
The-
he's a lot less comfortable about that. You know, he can't just say, well, I was a police officer and I was doing my job. It's like, well, no, I was just a bastard. And I think that's quite, I mean, it's good that he was put in that position.
Misogyny begins at home. I mean,
Yeah.
that would really that line from S, I mean, I think has been rung incredibly true. It was a line that was put to Jenna earlier today. He said he didn't understand what that meant. I had to have to explain to him.
That says it all. I mean, I was
just going to say quickly on the cross-examination. There was one line which I'm afraid I nearly lost my shit to. Over Christmas '98 and New Year '98, S and Mark Jenner's wife went on holiday to Australia. She left him one task to varnish the floor of the new house which they'd moved into, which was quite decrepit. This move that had been very isolating for her. And
forced on her by the police.
Yeah, I'm very much forced on her. And he said he was meant to varnish this floor, and he said, which I did. And which was pointed out, he was meant to do 3 coats. He'd done one, and it was wet when she came home. And this just flooded me with an image of him, like, kind of trying to pretend he'd done it. I mean, I don't know why I find it so funny, but I mean, it's just show what a useless bastard he was, as well as everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to find it funny, just because, you know, the evidence that she gave wasn't entirely of just being abandoned.
No, it wasn't at all.
It was very much that actually he was there, and he was
very much,
like, you know, maintaining this image of a family life, and it obviously like deteriorated badly towards the end, and he was unable to kind of keep up his end of the bargain. But you know, it wasn't simply that, you know, he went off and had a job and prioritized his job. He maintained the deception towards her. And I think, yeah, I find that particularly unpleasant, I guess, because she knew what his job was. You know, there was, you know, there was arguably a need to be dishonest with the people that he was spying on, but there was never any requirement to be dishonest in those circumstances. I don't know. It makes me very angry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is obscene. And I mean, one of the things like that was brought up in that re-examination about the way she was left to believe that she was under very serious threat from terrorists, about the fact that his deployment was about to be exposed, because he told her that he was doing much more serious work than he actually was. She talked as well about how he came home every day on the weekdays, and there was his claim that he needed to reintegrate into the lives of his wife and his children. He was already very present. He was taking them swimming. He was taking them to medical appointments. He was there Monday to Friday. It was an inside-out life, but he was very present.
Yes, and I think, and he very much kind of doubled down on that point about the threat that she might have faced. Like, he absolutely refused to accept that she had been left to, which I find very insulting. I'm sure Alison finds very insulting, and I think is a part of that, like the bigger lie that the SDS told themselves about the value and the danger and the significance of the work that they were doing.
Exaggerated perceived risk.
Yes.
I mean, again and again, this has been so much a core, not of just the way in which they present themselves now, but the way they present themselves then. It's everything that the SDS is about. Exaggerating perceived risk.
And you know, as we get into the era where the Human Rights Act comes into place, that, you know, risk assessments become a regular part of undercover policing, and I've seen quite a lot of them, and they refer to a very low, negligible, non-existent risk of any kind of threat to the officers. And in fact, the main risk identified over and over and over again is the risk of embarrassment to Her Majesty's government were this ever to come out, which is what we are seeing now.
Very much.
I mean, it's worth watching the YouTube videos just for the faces of the Metropolitan Police lawyers sitting behind bar.
I mean, for the cross-examination particularly, I mean, the one Met Police lawyer just with his
head in his hands,
literally, like, couldn't be shaking his head, looking around, like the eyes telling all the story of, you know, how badly his client is doing.
Yeah, I mean, and Yeah, I think, I mean, one of the things, again, I will say it again, that Jenner's evidence obviously looks bloody appalling for him, but to be honest, like a lot of these officers, their reputations are not, were never ever going to survive this. And in some ways, I'm a lot more concerned about the interest, the very powerful interest that lies behind this public inquiry of the Metropolitan Police's reputation surviving it, and Jenner's, his total exposure of the vile culture within the Metropolitan Police is going to do a hell of a lot of damage to that, because it doesn't come across as that he's a uniquely bad man. It comes across that he really is reflecting the culture that he comes from.
Yeah, he was just a good SDS officer.
Exactly.
I mean, he even said that because he was an SDS officer, it wasn't possible for him to break the law. I mean,
yes, I mean, that was the other key line, was you could do anything apart from killing somebody.
Yeah.
That and
that's what he was told.
And he absolutely stood by it.
Yeah.
You know, and even when kind of questioned about whether that really was reasonable, like he was like, well, yeah, that was the job. Which it's which we've known
since day dot.
Since day dot. It's taken the inquiry 15 years or 10 years to get here. But yes, I think it's been, the evidence of Mark Jenner has been very powerful in that sense.
Yeah, incredibly so. He was given the opportunity at the end.
Gobsmacking. Jaw-dropping is the evidence at times.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry.
No, it's all right. You join in. Anything else you want to say?
No, I've just got the adrenaline running through me. I saw it all right. I just like to come burst in. Carry on the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the gasps from the public inquiry, Mitting did have to intervene at one point, I think yesterday, to say, like, you've got to stop gasping because it's interrupting our evidence.
But just to say that Jenner was given the opportunity by the by the barrister for S, his ex-wife, to apologise to her. He never apologized to her. He never actually told her that he had a deceitful relationship. He never, apparently he hasn't spoken to her in 13 years. And he declined the opportunity to apologize to her. He says he's willing to speak to her in private if that's what she wants, but he's not going to apologize to her in a public arena.
Yeah, I mean, he's a nasty man.
He is a nasty man.
I mean, he's a nasty man and a good cop, which sums it up.
Yeah, I mean, it says everything. I mean, this mirrored very much what he said about an apology to Alison. He said he wasn't willing to apologize to Alison in any public setting, but he was willing to speak to her afterwards if she wanted to.
I can't imagine she's going to want to. I mean,
why would you?
I mean, who would want to be alone in a room with that man?
Right. I mean, I think I think it should be suggested that he apologise to Mark Metcalf, and if not, perhaps have a one-to-one meeting with him in a locked room.
No comment.
Seems all right. You can apologise to me if he wants. We're going to go back in for further questions.
Yes, it's
in a
gone
minute.
suspiciously quiet.
It has gone suspiciously quiet. Just quickly to add some of the comments we've had. Nick Jim said he's a sociopath. Yeah, I would believe so. I mean, lots of people talking about, is there a difference between a sociopath and a psychopath? I don't know. I think one of them is sociopaths are created by society. Maybe he was created by the Met Police. I don't know. Apparently he was a family man before he became the SDS.
That was some quite interesting stuff that we heard about the psychometric testing as well. That they looked at. He did very well in his psychometric testing, and Barr asked him, does that mean that you lied to your psychometric test? Because, I mean, it's firmly been established that he was not a good fit for the role of undercover officer. So did you lie to your psychometric tests, or were the psychometric tests the problem? Is that why they picked such a bad apple? And he said that he didn't lie to the psychometric tests, that the psychometric tests themselves were wrong. He also said that they were multiple choice. Yes, I think that this is it gave an insight that maybe the inquiry are planning to kind of what's the word?
Their recommendations.
Make recommendations for how to select undercover officers in the future. So I think that's one to watch.
Very much. Another comment from the Campaign Opposing Police Surveillance. It was astonishing to hear Jenner say that if deceiving women into a relationship whilst undercover had been a crime, then he wouldn't have deceived Alison, and furthermore, that he wouldn't have joined the Special Demonstration Squad in the first place. Utterly damning. I mean, I think that was another mic drop moment, really.
Yeah.
He was, if he couldn't deceive women into sex, then he wouldn't be an undercover officer.
Wow, I missed that one.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was very blatant, and really showed kind of maybe perhaps what was part of the attraction.
Yes, I mean, I think we're really in Tranche 3. We're really getting to the point where this is. I mean, and you know, what you have is the officers who were fantasists and sexual abusers were the ones that were commended. They were considered to be the deep swimmers. They were the best SDS officers. They ended up running the show. They ended up training and mentoring the next round. And so eventually what you have is a predatory sex ring. And I think by the time Jenna comes into the picture, that's what it is. He was well aware of that. He admitted at the time that SDS officers came to check his domestic background and talk to his wife. And the choice not to mention that to her suggests he wasn't as much of a family man as he thought he was.
Right. I think we should go back in.
Yes.
There'll be further questions. We'll do another video at the end of the day, just recapping everything we've heard and what else is said. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.